Welcome to Here for the Gear. I'm Jeff, and I'm going to be reviewing some bookshelf speakers, which can be some of the most universal speakers out there. Also, at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you a tip that will make plugging in wires into your receiver, speakers, and wall jacks so easy, you're not going to know how you got along without these little guys. So make sure you click on that subscribe button, and let's get down to business. Now, bookshelf speakers come in many different shapes and sizes, some with built-in amps, some speakers are two-way with a woofer and a tweeter, and some are even three-way with a woofer, a tweeter, and a mid to give you better crossovers. Bookshelf speakers can be used for a wide variety of things because of their size. You can place them on stands, put them in corners, just be careful not to block their air intake if you have one. You can hook them up as a pair to give you stereo setup, add a subwoofer to give you a 2.1 setup. You can use them as back channels in a surround sound setup if you want. You can mount them and use them as height channels. I'm using a pair of really old Mirage speakers still with a wireless Sonos amp. You're always going to have a use for bookshelf speakers. They're just handy to have around. Okay, now let's get on to that list. The ELAC Debut 2.0 6.2 speakers have been out for a few years now and are still some really sweet sounding two-way speakers. They have several features that are offered by a lot of the higher end speakers, which we'll go into here in a second. But first, let's start with the specs. They feature a 6.5-inch fiber woofer as well as a 1-inch cloth dome tweeter. These speakers have a huge range from 44 to 35,000 hertz and are rated at up to 120 watts. Now, for the features, I really liked about these things that they had the air intake on the front as opposed to the back. This helps in case you're wanting to put these things straight up against the wall or actually into a cabinet, so the speakers are still able to breathe and get airflow. They also have 5-way binding posts on the back, so you can use the banana clips, spade clips, or just straight wire if you wanted to use those. The cabinets on these speakers were also very nicely made and felt solid, which helped to eliminate unwanted reverb. They also have really nice grills that fit into plugs on the front. Just all around really nice speakers, and we're just getting started on this list. There's a lot more to go over. The Edifier R1700 BT or Bluetooth speakers are number 7 on the list, and these are speakers that are meant to really be just set up as a stereo pair. They're also meant to run off a non-amplified source, like a turntable, or just simply plug in your cell phone or an MP3 player if you still have one of those, and simply run them with something that's non-amplified, because they have an amplifier simply built into one of the speakers, then you plug the other speaker in as a slave. They also come with double-ended RCA cables for this type of connection if you're going to plug something in like that, and also an RCA to 3.5 millimeters so you could just plug in a phone or a laptop. Speaking of laptops, I like how you were able to have these things tilted at 10 degrees in case you wanted to use them as simply computer speakers. They also had their base port on the front in case you had them back straight up to the wall. The main is a 4-inch paper cone, and the tweeter is 19 millimeters or 3/4-inch silk dome. And did I mention these things come with a remote? Not a bad set if you're simply needing stereo. The ultra-sleek Q Acoustic 3020i speakers are a really nice remake of their prior 3020s, which are still some great speakers. The cabinet of these speakers are a seamless shell which cuts unwanted vibrations out. On the front you have your 5-inch woofer and you're just shy of 1-inch tweeter, 22 millimeters to be exact. The speaker has a response of 64 to 35,000 hertz, so it goes up pretty high. The grill is totally magnetic, but with the beautiful chrome shine around the cone, it's a debate if you want to leave it on or take it off. On the back you have a 5-way plugs which can accommodate those banana plugs, spades, or simply wires. You also notice the base port on the back, so you don't want to put these things flush up to the wall. Give yourself a good couple of inches so you don't starve the speakers for air. They sounded excellent though for their price and are available in 4 finishes and even come with gloves, so you're going to leave these beauties spotless. At number 4 we have the ELAC Uni-fi UB5, which is the first speaker on our list that is a 3-way speaker. The UB5 appear to only have 2 cones, the woofer and the mid, so where is that tiny tweeter? This is because of a design only a couple of manufacturers are toying with by putting that tweeter in the very center of the mid, just like what Kef does. It has a range of 46 to 25,000 hertz, so it isn't the absolute highest as far as frequency response, but it has a very clear sound because of it being a 3-way. The woofer is a 5.25-inch aluminum, and the mid is also a 4-inch aluminum with a 1-inch tweeter right in the heart of it. These speakers also feature a 5-way binding post for any type of connection you would like to use. With the vent port being right on the back, you're not going to be wanting to put these right against the wall, however, because of airflow. But if you want to give them a couple of inches, you'll be fine. And again, they sound outstanding. Martin Logan is legendary for their electrostatic speakers, which are amazing both in capabilities, size, and performance. These are the Motion 2Is. They are not near as large or expensive, but they are very nice and very classy looking. They also have some really unique features at an excellent price point. The 2Is are right at 4.5 by 4.5 by 10 inches. However, they have a gentle slope on the front and almost a crescent shape on the back. They have a single 3.5-inch polycone woofer for the lower tones, but one of the first unique features on these speakers is the tweeter. All of the Motion series speakers use a folded motion transducer diaphragm. What this translates to is that it's able to move air at a much quicker rate than a cone, as well as with it being rectangle shaped, it has much more area, so it's much more energy efficient to run, and it takes less work to make the sound, so it sounds more natural. As I mentioned with the speaker being angled, it makes them easy to mount upside down if you want to use them as height channels, and they do have screw holes in the back for this. Another thing that is unique to them is they have spring-style tension connections on the back. So if you're not using the banana-style plugs, you simply push the connections in and the wires are held in place. These speakers have a range from 110 to 23,000 Hz and are rated at 100 watts. Or if you want to step it up a notch, they have a slightly larger model, the 4Is, which feature a 4.5-inch woofer, as well as feature bass ports that come out the back. These are also rated at 150 watts and have a range of 70 to 25,000 Hz. Coming in at number 2 on the list are the Klipsch RP-600M speakers. Klipsch recently did some improvements and new innovations to their reference line, and this speaker is their bookshelf model. This baby is beautiful with Klipsch's immediately recognizable 6.5-inch cerametallic copper cone. The speaker also has a 1-inch titanium tweeter horn, and when I say horn, you notice it's square. They do this because sound waves travel in an invisible circle outwards from the source. With it being square, it won't reverb off the sidewalls of the horn and distort. You also notice with the construction there are no screws visible of any kind for the sound wave for disruption. On the back is the air intake, along with a set of dual binding posts. This is the first bookshelf I've listed with dual posts, and this is in case you want to drive the woofer and the tweeter separately or bi-amp the speakers, in other words. They are rated at 100 watts consistent and 400 watts peak and have a frequency range of 45 to 25,000 Hz. Imagine what a set of these bi-amp would sound like with a good sub. I have a link to my sub reviews as well, so make sure you check out that video. These speakers will no doubt rock the room as well as make the room beautiful with or without their covers on. At the number 1 position, I have the awesome Kef Q350s. The British Kef company has been creating loudspeakers since 1961, and these beauties are their latest bookshelf creations. They feature a 6.5-inch Uni-Q driver. This is very, for lack of words, unique design, because what it does is it places the 1-inch tweeter in the very center of the woofer. This gives you audio, whether it be music, movies, or whatever, the illusion of it originating from the single point in the very middle of the speaker. The woofer material is made out of aluminum, and the same goes for the tweeter as well. The grills on the front of the speaker are simply magnetic, as opposed to the previous generation, which used the holes to keep them in place. These speakers only use a single set of poles for connections, but they still sound simply amazing with a range of 63 to 28,000 Hz. They're rated at 120 watts. Really some beautiful sounding high-end speakers. Once you hear Kefs, you're really going to be totally amazed at their quality. I mean, their entire lineup is just amazing. I mentioned at the beginning of this video I was going to share a little tip with you on how to make connecting wires to receivers and speakers and wall jacks also a whole lot quicker and easier. I've actually mentioned these several times in this video already. They're called banana plugs. You simply take your stripped wire and install the banana plug onto the wire, and it acts as a quick connect. It will really make the area look cleaner if you're unplugging and plugging wires. It also won't damage or fray your connections either. I have a link to the ones I use below by Nakamichi. These particular ones have a screw that holds the plug to the wire, another that holds the plug to the insulation, and then the cap or barrel that goes over the top, and it protects the whole thing. It's really a well-made design. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you click like and subscribe for the next one, and we'll see you next time on Here for the Gear.